Hello and welcome to Bros to Learn. It's another time to discuss about one of the interesting high-paying role in tech, and that is DevOps. I know some of you are already looking for jobs or particularly looking for an area of tech where you can get remote jobs as fast as possible that doesn't require any form of bachelor's degree or any form of certifications. I bet you DevOps is that very kind of direction that best suits that interest. So let's dive in. So the real question is, can you learn DevOps? And we want to understand if you can learn DevOps, if it is best fit for you. And precisely, you need to first of all understand what DevOps is, so that will give us an insight into if you can learn DevOps. So first, what is DevOps? DevOps, in simple terms, is a set of practices combining software development and IT operations. I know for someone who doesn't have any idea of tech, it may look so ambiguous and like, what does that even mean? Especially a word IT operations. So I know you must have been hearing of software development. So that might be something you are already used to. But what about IT operations? IT operations has to do with how to configure a server or several servers and make it admissible for some software to work on it successfully without any challenge. Now, remember that software development particularly focuses on writing codes, such as in Python, in C, in Java, in Ruby, in whatever programming languages that the software developer has learned. And then you use that code to write a software that is usable. But guess what? Not all softwares are just usable. You can write a software and it's useless on your laptop if nobody is using it, right? If nobody's using it all over the world, it's useless. But how can you make it possible that everybody in the world can use what you've created or what you've done? And that's the essence of DevOps. So DevOps brings about an intersection between the software developers and those operating servers, the network technicians, the system administrator, and etc. Bringing these things together to make that work easy and also for that software to be released faster. So the key word here is release faster, enable faster and reliable release of a software. Think of organizations like Uber, Bolt, Stripe, PayPal, Paystack, Citigroup Bank, etc. It questions, why is DevOps important and why is it in the high demand? And why is it that they are paying so well to DevOps engineers? The main reason is not far-fetched. It's because many a times organizations are in competition with themselves. If you imagine a bank, for instance, you create a bank app, and you can realize that customers out there, they love new features on your app. And then you create a new feature, you added a new feature to your app, and everybody are coming to your application, wanting to open accounts in this bank, wanting to subscribe to this bank services more than another bank. Why? Because this bank was able to discover customer needs and then iterate its business processes, its technological processes to meet up the customer needs. Certainly, that bank is going to get the lion's share of the market, isn't it? Exactly. So, because of competition, profitability, viability of the market, lion's share for the market is the reason why organizations are adopting DevOps, which is very important. The earlier you are able to release your software, either it's a mobile application or maybe it's a web application, the earlier you can release the software into the market, the better for that organization. Now, if you look at this diagram before me, the first diagram shows to you the operations, how DevOps really work. However, on this other side, you can see the departments that are actually operating and carrying out these processes. So now, let us go back to it. The first one is planning. First of all, if you want to develop an application, let's say Uber, for instance, you want to create a new Uber app, then you want to plan for the app first. You want to plan properly. You want to set your objectives right. You want to understand what is very important in the building of that app. So you plan it. Then the software developers, they create the software. They write the code in whatever programming languages they've desired or planned according to design. Then The quality assurance department, they test by verifying the code. If the code is good to go, if the code is of no errors, no bugs, and if the code is satisfied, okay, then it can go ahead. But then if it's not okay, then they have to send it back to the software developers who wrote the code so that the code can be corrected. Now, if it has been well corrected and tested, then you want to package and release that software into the server. You can see the stage, packaging and releasing into the server. Then that means that you have also prepared the server to be admissible to what you want to do and to make it possible that the server will not have issues setting the code, and at the same time the code will not have problem in sitting in the server. Now, I'm using layman languages here so that you can understand. So I'm not going to go very deep into technical terms so that you all can grasp this in detail. Now, you can see the next stage is configuring. So if this code or this software have been able to integrate into the server successfully, then you want to ensure you configure the server, maybe for security purposes or for accessibility purposes, for different purposes. You need to configure the server, access to the server, access to the application, who can access it, who cannot access it, etc. And from where can they access it? Then after this configuration, you want to monitor the operations. You want to monitor the operations and ensure that there are no lapses, or when traffic are too much, you want to ensure that everything is balanced and so on. Now, for all these phases of this operation, right, there are different, you can see the different departments operating in. We talk about the development team, with the software engineering team, talk about the quality assurance team, who is verifying and also ensuring that the code is of quality. Then we talk about operations team. The operations teams are those who will now configure the server and at the same time monitor it, and at the same time ensure that everything is going on reliably. You see? Now, what is DevOps in this case? A set of practices that all these teams follow is what we call DevOps. Set of guidelines that teams would follow in releasing a software faster, reliably, and securely is what we call DevOps. Now, these 5 DevOps practices, these are just 5 out of up to like 17 practices in DevOps. So, but these are the most common, but then there are other practices. So definitely, as you learn or as you decide to learn, these are practices that you would get into as you start working or as you start learning DevOps. So now, I haven't talked about that. Depending on the size of your project, depending on the size of the software that is to be developed by that organization, will determine the number of teams you are going to have. Now, a team may focus on security. Another team may focus on the cloud infrastructure. Another team will focus on the software development in itself. Then other teams may focus on testing. So the truth is, each of these teams will contain those who develop and those who operate to make things work as smooth as possible. Now, you've broken down the software into pieces, step by step, so that individual team can actually take up their function on their responsibility and produce the result expected per team. So now, if team 1 has built what they ought to build in terms of the code, in terms of little testing they'll need to do, call it unit testing for that group, then the second team too have done its own. There is a unit testing that needs to be done on what they have created so that it can be certified okay. Then the third team and so on, depending on the number of teams, then you integrate the 3 or more units of the software, the components of the software together, and making it one single piece of software. At that point, you still need to test that single piece of software to be sure if that software meets up with what is expected. Now, look at it this way. We talk about unit testing, we talk about integration testing, which is testing the software that has been, the software that has been combined from the components together. Now, after the software has been tested, okay, the next phase is you prepare the software, you package it for release into server. you package it for deployment into server. So your packaging is what called delivery. So when you are preparing to go into the server, you want to do another testing because you don't want to assume that, oh, it's okay, it's fine, let's just go on. You can't rush this kind of stuff. Though a lot of DevOps teams, in practical sense, they want to release faster. Software developers want to add new features and make things work fast because that's the whole essence of DevOps. Good. But then you need to do testing. If you're not testing these things, every little change that you do inside a code can trigger a whole host of problems and cause failure in the whole system. So that's why testing is very important. Now, at that point, if you have tested it okay, and it is satisfied to be good, and there are no bugs, and there are no anomalies in the behavior of the software, then you want to deploy into the server. Now, before you even deploy into a live server, you want to deploy into a simulated real-life environment. That means staging in a way that you want to test if in a real-life environment, what will happen. You test the software with the system, then you configure all these things and you want to look at what's going to happen. So if there is no anomaly, that'll be fine. But if there are a lot of misbehavior or it's creating problem within the server and it looks as you guys are not getting it right, then you need to disembark first and figure out where the problem is before you even go ahead. So once it is certified okay, then you can go into production server. Now, before you go into production, I haven't said, oh, this software is good, it's beautiful, it can work, it will work fine. Good. You still need to do one more testing. At least we call it acceptance testing. Now, acceptance testing is a kind of testing where before the public begins to use your software, you need some testers to test it as an end user to be sure if that software is going to meet up with the user's expectation. It's going to meet up with the public expectation. Because I know you must have gone through your phone and you want to download an app and you've seen a lot of reviews concerning an app and someone says, oh, this app is a shit. That is not good. Don't waste your time downloading this application, right? That is one of the evidence that either some testings were done and the results were ignored, or testings were done but no correction was made, or no testing was done at all at some levels till it was published to the public. So that's exactly what we're saying. Acceptance testing at the last stage. So once, even at the acceptance test, the end users who were able to test this and certify it to be fine and good, then you can begin to push into the public. So boom, the world can now use your application everywhere as much as the whole process has been followed. Now, that's exactly how intense and how technical and the volume of technicians some of this software that you are using requires. So if you can understand this nitty-gritty, you now understand why DevOps engineers are needed and why it is also important that if you like to go in this direction, you can also contribute your value if you know and have the skill. You've now seen how important DevOps engineers are, or how important their job functions and their roles are in its software development lifecycle and also in the release of the software for an organization. And you can see now that there are different roles that are available. Once you learn DevOps, you will be able to do a lot of tasks underneath. You'll be able to do a lot of roles like automation engineer, cloud engineer, release engineers, and even you can even create a cloud architecture depending on how you learn, site reliability engineer, and even testing. These are kind of jobs that you can do. If you learn one part alone, let's assume you learn QA testing, for instance. You've only learned one part of DevOps system. You are not yet a DevOps engineer because you've only understood one part. In the future, when the job changes or a vacancy opens around maybe the release engineer or around the SRE, you don't know it yet, and therefore you won't be able to take up tasks in that regard. So that's the very reason why you should learn DevOps. DevOps is a bigger umbrella. It covers many aspects for you. And if you're able to learn DevOps, you need to understand these things. So not only that, DevOps is like surgery. And where, if you imagine a theater where there are surgeons trying to save a life, it's not only one surgeon. You can see several surgeons. And you can also see supporting nurses, helping the surgeons to achieve their goals and achieve their aims, giving them this, giving them that, in order to ensure that that life is safe. So also is DevOps. It's a big operation. And the goal of that operation is to release a software or an application faster and reliably. That is the goal. And it's not a one-man show. It needs people. So if you think this is best for you, then that means you would like to do DevOps. So now, can everyone learn DevOps? No, not everybody can learn DevOps. There are a lot of factors to this, certainly. Some people, based on the level of technicality, they don't want to learn DevOps. Some people, they want to learn, but they are in a stage in their life whereby they don't want to add to their brain headaches. So because on some level, you need to be able to free up your system, your brain, to focus when you are learning or when you are working as a DevOps engineer. So if comprehension could be a factor, level of technicality could be a factor, even duration of learning is also a factor. These are factors you want to consider before you make your final decision. Now, for instance, to become a DevOps engineer, I'm afraid to say that you know minimum of 6 months. I'm giving it minimum of 6 months because you have a lot to learn. But at least take a long period of 6 months first. Be on the journey of learning. I'm sure some people will be down there telling me that no way, 6 months is not sufficient. Yes, I know. 6 months to 1 year. If you are able to dedicate your time and learn in a year period, you will be at a very good point whereby you can say, yes, I'm a DevOps engineer. There are a lot of tools to learn. There are a lot of things to learn. And practice to be earned, and practical hands-on experience. You need to get your hands dirty. So the duration of learning needs to be factored in. For me, I'll just tell you, plan a year. Plan a year for learning. It's very important if you're going in. Then what about the cost of learning to reward? Excellent. The cost of learning to reward is always good. I mean, there's no amount you spend in learning and training as a DevOps engineer that you will not eventually gain in time. Because by the time you start working as a DevOps engineer, you're going to have a lot. They pay you well. They will definitely pay you well for these services. And that is it. But if you are at this point, you are not yet sure if DevOps is best for you, or you consider something else, but you are not even sure of what to go into. That's why our Bros to Learn, we help people make the right decision in the right direction that best suits their future. It's not everybody that's going to do DevOps. I mean, there are other directions in tech too that are good and well paying. If only you can dedicate your time to learn, and if only it's best suited for you, definitely you need to learn it and also become an expert in that direction. So you can book a call with us today. Go to www.brostolearn.com/booking. Then register yourself for a Zoom session. Then we can help you to see the right direction that's best fit for you. So that is that. Secondly, the question now is, can I get a job if I learn DevOps? Yes, you can get a job. I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of opportunities when it comes to DevOps jobs. And as you now know the operations, how it works, you now see for sure that DevOps need a lot of technicians. There are a lot of vacancies in there. Yes, and that is why organizations are willing to pay for those who can do it, because it's technical, and if you can do this kind of job, they are willing to pay. Apart from that, it needs more people in the system. So if you are part of it, that's good for you. You need to get more money. Not only that, it doesn't require bachelor's degree, certifications. No. Forget about that. This is not an area of tech that requires you to go and do some maybe CCNA or no. You don't need all those certifications. Even AWS Solutions Architect, if you have the certification, good. But it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement. What the need from you in this case is the experience, is the skill, is the experience and also the skill. So let me quickly show you an example of what I'm saying so that you can have an understanding of it. So if you head to jobstaff.com, you see an example of jobs and DevOps that you can search for. It's not only this website, there are a lot of websites you can use. Now, this is an example of a DevOps engineering job that's been required. And guess what? Applicants who require a work visa are welcome in this very role. Some DevOps jobs, they might be sponsoring some persons to get job or to work with some organization. Once they see that you have the skill, you have the knowledge, you have the understanding. Though it might not be as common as those that doesn't require job visa sponsorship, but the truth is they are still there. There are some jobs that they'll just lift you. They will sponsor you from your country into maybe Portugal, into Germany, into UK, just because they see that you have the skill. And that is very, very possible. This is an example of that kind of a job where they are ready to sponsor you as a DevOps engineer. So now, what I want to show you really is how the fact that it doesn't need certifications in precise. You don't need certificate, you don't need bachelor's degree to work or to get these jobs as a DevOps engineer. Look at this. This one in particular, they want you to be a British citizen before you can get this job. So if you are a British citizen, definitely you can apply. But let's go for another example. So nothing should stop you for any reason. If you have desire for DevOps, you can actually get these opportunities. So look at this. This person is looking for someone who will work as a DevOps engineer, and the pay is £650 to £750 per day. Now, what do they need from you? They just need skills. AWS or Google CP. AWS or Google CP, they are digital cloud platforms providers. So we're going to talk about that in HTTP. So look at these tools: Terraform, CI/CD, that is continuous integration, continuous deployment. We talked about that already. Then Golang, Java, Python. At least Python is one of those things you will learn in any place you're going to learn DevOps. You're going to learn DevOps. They're going to introduce you to some part of Python, as a matter of fact. I'm going to still talk about that. Then Kubernetes. So how much? 6-month contract, £650 per day or £750 per day. No certifications, no bachelor's degree. You see what I mean? Exactly. There was another one. Let's check another one here. Okay, this one is focused on data. So if you are coming from a data background, maybe you've been using, you're a data analyst or a data scientist, and you have that background and you crossed into DevOps, this is the kind of job you can go for. DevOps data engineer. See what I mean? So it simply means that there are jobs out there that you can do. Don't say, oh, no, I was coming from this background, therefore I can't do it. No, you can come from a non-tech background. Once you have the skill, you have the project portfolio, and you can prove yourself, because employers want to hear or see candidates that can display skills, that can showcase their talent through skills, project portfolio, and showcase experience. Right? That's exactly what they are not going to train you again. They expect you to have learned it. They expect you that you are an expert. So they are just bringing you to come and help them solve a problem. So look at this. What are they asking here? They are not asking for any certification. No certification. This person is just looking for, is a gaming industry, DevOps contractor. They want to pay £400 to £500 per day. What are the skills? AWS, Terraform, continuous integration, continuous deployment through Jenkins. Then C# background, that is if you have the ship side. These are not going to debar you. But what I'm just trying to say is, you don't need bachelor's degree. You don't need certification. You don't even need AWS certification to get this. This is not what they want. What they want is project portfolio. Prove to us that you can do these things, have these skills. And that's why we're going to learn DevOps. You should be able to learn, if not all of these skills, using some of these tools, right? So that's that. So this is just an example. You can go through by yourself, and you can also Google from different websites where they are looking for DevOps engineers and compare and see for yourself if they are asking for any form of certification. You see that there is no certification required. So That's exactly what I want to show you here. So, as I said, there's no need for bachelor's degree in computer science or related courses in computer science. There's no need for certification. You can get a job. All you need is the skill, the knowledge, and the portfolio of projects. Not heavy coding. Now, a lot of people will ask the question, oh, is it going to be coding? Will I have to learn programming language or something? Hey, the most important thing in DevOps is scripting. And it is not the heavyweight coding being done in software development. You're not the one writing the code. You're not the one doing the software development. No, you are only going to continue from where the software developer stops, take the code, scan the code for errors, for bugs, and so on that we talked about before, and go on from there to do some continuous integration, continuous deployment, and then deploy to the production server after your evaluation and test, and then monitor. So now the truth is, what you need scripting for is to automate your process, writing a script to launch 5 servers at the same time. And in 10 minutes, everything is up and running. So it is a lightweight, user-friendly, English-like coding, right? It is not an heavy coding. But then if you know it, it's very important. It's an important skill in DevOps. Very, very important. So yes, there is DevSecOps. For those people who always ask, oh, is there a space within security? Because they want to go into cybersecurity and they are also thinking of DevOps. And then they want to do the two together. No, brother, you can't do the two together. You can't do DevOps and cybersecurity. You can't pursue the two courses together at the same time. They are that voluminous and they need you to specialize in one particular area, one first, then another, right? So that you can understand what you're doing. That's number one. Number two is there any intersection? Well, DevSecOps in itself is about focusing or including security in the software development life cycle. Instead of after developing the whole infrastructure or building your infrastructure, then you're now considering, okay, let's block the loopholes. No, that is not the ideal situation. In fact, in the last DevOps conference that was held, security is now very important. It's now part of the most popular practices that is now being inculcated into DevOps. So you want to also focus that security is also important. So you're going to learn it. So for anywhere you're going to be learning DevOps, there are some things you need to watch out. And that's why we recommend platforms for people to learn DevOps, whereby all the very many important details that need to be taught, you will learn them even before you start working as a DevOps engineer. So to answer the question, the security in DevOps or DevSecOps in particular is not particularly the cybersecurity. Though security, if you want to migrate from cybersecurity into DevOps and focus on DevSecOps, that's also good and fine. Your background in cybersecurity can also help you to build a lot of structure, security mechanisms within a software development lifecycle, because this focus on application security now, so to say. So that is that. Now, we were talking about cloud providers the other time. Google CP, DigitalOcean, AWS, these are cloud providers. Now, when you begin to learn DevOps, you need to use at least one of these platforms to learn. You need to use one of these platforms to learn. Now, there are many ways to it, and I don't want to be confused. DevOps is DevOps everywhere. Either you use AWS, or use Google CP, or you use DigitalOcean, or you use any of the cloud providers, even Azure. DevOps is DevOps. It's all about the principles. It's all about the principles. It's not about the technology. It's not about the platform where you are learning it from. No, it's about the principles. So that's number one. Number two is, as I said, DevOps like surgery. Once you've learned the practice of surgery, or you've learned how to carry out a particular surgery, you are sure to be able to carry out that surgery in any part of the world without having to worry yourself about, oh, is this how they do it here or something? No, it doesn't work that way. Once you've learned the skill, you've learned it. And then you can do the same everywhere and anywhere. So that is that. So, but particularly AWS is most recommended and most common because they offer you 1 year of free tier. So a lot of people who are coming from a non-tech background, they have the opportunity to use their AWS account at least for 1 year of learning without having to incur so much cost. But mind you, If you don't shut down your servers or what you are using on AWS, they will charge you some money. So you need to also watch how you use it, on how you use the resources on AWS or any platform that you choose. So how should you learn and learn fast? So number one, for you to be a DevOps engineer, first of all, you need to get a laptop. If you have decided that you want to be a DevOps engineer, you need to get a laptop. You need to get a laptop, not a smartphone. Don't tell me, oh, can I use my phone? No. You cannot use your phone. If you want to make some good money, you know for sure that you need to do some good work. And good work are best done using your laptop. Get a laptop. Get the best of laptop money can buy. I tell you what, get the best of laptop money can buy. Don't say, oh, unless you cannot afford, just use what you can afford. If what you have is a laptop and it's good enough, not less than 8 to 16 gigabytes of a RAM, that's fine, at least in the minimum. But if you can get more than that, that would be excellent. So get a good laptop money can buy, then have internet access. You need internet access to be able to access the world. I mean, either you want to work remotely or you want to learn remotely, whatever the case, you need internet access. Then go for training. You need to go for training. I've heard a lot of people do say, can I learn on YouTube on my own? Yes, you can learn on your own, but the challenge there is that you can learn haphazardly. You won't learn in a structural manner. You won't learn in form of a build-up lesson. You won't be able to understand the right gaps, unless if you have been learning DevOps on your own before and you know what you're supposed to learn. I mean, there are a lot of YouTube videos that can tell you what you should learn and stop. But a lot of people have met, certainly, they needed a guide. They needed live classes. They needed coaching centers where they can ask questions, all right, so that they would be able to learn DevOps properly. And one of the advantages is that when you are looking at a training, you should look at a training center where they will train you both DevOps and SRE. DevOps in itself focuses more on the fast release of a software. Meanwhile, the SRE, which is site reliability engineers, they focus more on the reliability part of a software, because the DevOps engineers are like, let us do this, let's do it fast. The DevOps, the devs, the developers, they want to see how fast they can release a software. But the site reliability engineers, they want to see how stable and reliable even the software they are releasing is. So it's a way of balancing the system. So you want to learn the two together in a DevOps training center. So if you go to a DevOps training center, you will learn the two together. Either it is remote learning or physical learning, doesn't matter. But the most important thing is that check their curriculum, ensure that it combines these two together. Once it combines these two together, because in the future, your job function might change from working as an automation engineer or a release engineer, and then you become an SRE. You never know where you're going to work, and you might not work as an SRE, you may work as a DevOps engineer. Yes. So it could be any of these roles. But the beauty is, once you learn DevOps properly and you learn it in that wide manner, you can function in any of these roles and you become very usable and very useful. And it won't be that you're still trying to learn something when you started working. So that's that. Number 4, you need to get portfolio of projects. You need to have some portfolio behind you. The portfolio is a proof that you have not only learned, but you have honed your skills in DevOps. You've understood some solution techniques and that you've sharpened your troubleshooting skills while you are learning. And therefore, it gives confidence to the employer to grant you a job or to give you a job, because you can see what you've been doing so far on your GitHub repository or your LinkedIn. Number 5, use YouTube. Yes, I've said it before that, yeah, you should go for training on training centers, edtech centers that can train you, inclusive training like this, project-based. That's good. But it's not still sufficient. You need to add YouTube to it. And you ask me why. The reason is because using YouTube, there are some certain technologies you are learning on those platforms, right? And for instance, a DevOps engineer who is practically working as a DevOps engineer, some of them, they have YouTube channels that they have playlists on their YouTube channel that can help you. So if you are learning Linux, for instance, in your training center, now you can go on YouTube, find a DevOps engineer who has a playlist of Linux technologies, and has a complete playlist on that. And then you watch that from the very beginning. That will give you a very solid foundation in Linux. You know, when you learn from two different perspectives, from 2 or 3 different perspectives, you understand better. You grab it better. And then the retaining or the retainership of that knowledge becomes longer. So that's exactly what I'm saying here. So you still need to use YouTube to augment and to support what you're learning on your training center. That's number 5. Number 6, always use ChatGPT. This is very crucial. ChatGPT plus ask why. Because when you are working on DevOps, there are some certain challenges you're going to have. You're going to have some technical challenges, some errors, and it looks as if everything is new to you, etc. But never worry. All you need to do is to copy whatever challenge you're having, just copy into ChatGPT and just press enter. You don't worry about, I don't know how to even ask the question. Just copy your error and put it there. ChatGPT will also explain to you why you are having that error, or the reason why that error is coming up, or the source of that error. You see? Because for every response that was given to you by ChatGPT, in that response, you should ask, why is this response, or why is this answer? That will help you. That's where you're going to learn the principles of DevOps. Knowing the why is very important, because that is the value of what you're going to be learning. That's your takeaway from that challenge you are facing when you are learning. So it's very important to ask why. Number 7 now, focus on DevOps principles. See, there are a lot of tools in DevOps. For each of the life cycle, there are a lot of tools. But you cannot focus on all the tools and say, I want to learn Chef, I want to learn Ansible, I want to learn Terraform, I want to learn CloudFormation. You can't learn every of the technologies. No. It is the principles you need to understand. Once you grab the principles, you can understand how to use them in different technologies. And mind you, technologies do come and go, but DevOps principles remains DevOps principles. You see? Not only that, start looking for a job from day one. Start looking for a job from day one. A lot of people never know that there are other lessons they learn from looking for jobs. If you start looking for a job from day one, it emphasizes your knowledge gap. It emphasizes your knowledge gap. It helps you to know what you are missing, or what you have not learned or understood clearly or in detail. So you need to start looking for a job from day one. It makes you learn faster by you understanding your knowledge gaps. You see? Lastly, market yourself. Having learned, or while learning, you cannot afford to learn and you don't have the network to market yourself. First of all your projects, all your practical hands-on training, have it documented on your GitHub repository. Push them to your LinkedIn profile. Let people begin to see that you're a DevOps engineer and that you have been doing this stuff. Not only that, join Forum. Forum is a community of devs, community of developers. You will learn from others. It will sharpen your mind faster. Who knows? You could even get gigs that you could do either for voluntary or for money. And from there, you are employed. So you need to do your best to market yourself. So if you like to go into DevOps, you can send us a message. We are willing to help you, willing to assist you. And if you are confused or you are not sure you want to go into DevOps, you can also book a call with us. We are willing to help you make the right decision in the right direction. So if this resonates with you, hit the subscribe button for more career tips, career insight, and career progression discussions like this. Then you'll be able to get notification every time. See you later. Bye.